Good afternoon, everyone. And this is the last class of our Python level 1. So we are going to continue on the built-in function. Last week we touched base on it, but we did not go into it too much. So today let's spend the time to learn some of the very important built-in function. So let me share my screen. So this is the built-in function list I gave to you last week. So let me give you the link to you guys again. So last week we talked about max and min. So max and min, if you come in here, you just click on it. You need to pay attention to this. If you use max, and you will have an iterable object here. It's hard for us to understand what is an iterable object, but just think about it, a string, a list, a tuple. Okay? So they are all iterable. That means you can traverse over it. Like a string, you can start from the first character to the last character. So you are trying to find the biggest value in this object. If it's a number, of course, you find the biggest value. If it's characters, then it will be the alphabetic order. But you see this key here. We have learned the key as a parameter in other functions or method. When we learn the list, we want to sort it. We learn the key. Key actually is a function. You can use a function. You apply that function to each every item. Each every item in that iterable object. And then you just find the biggest value of the result after applying that function. Okay, so that's the max, and then min is the same, right? So if you do min, you're just trying to find the smallest value, the minimum value. So those are the two functions we touched based on last week. Okay, so I gave you those code before. So you see we have all strings in the list. So I'm trying to find the maximum value of it, but I use length. So then you print out, you will get this one. That's the maximum value because you use key equal to length. Okay. So if you wanted to try, let me give you this code again so you can try it. You will see the result. Okay, so let me try this one. So this is my X. X is a list. It has 4 items in it. Now I wanted to find the maximum value of X. But when I say maximum value, I did use a key. What is the key? I use the length. So if I do that, now if I ask what is Y, because you see I store that maximum value into y. So if I say what is y, you see I got to say programming. If you do not using the key, then you will get a Python, because P alphabetically is larger than all other strings here. It will only compare the first character in each of the string. If they are the same, then it will compare the second one. I hope that's straightforward. Okay, so now let's move on. Learn this function called map. The map function executes a specified function for each item in an iterable. So the item is sent to the function as a parameter. So let's come here to click on map. Okay, you say map, click on it. What does map do in Python? Okay, it does. You see, apply this function to the items in this iterable object. So that means you take the items out from the iterable object, let's say a list. You take the first item out, you apply the function, you get the result. And then you take the second item out from the iterable object, you apply the function. So that's what it meant. That's what it meant. So let me give you this example, okay? You say I have this string, then I do a split. You remember, if we do split, if I do not provide anything, it will use the space to split the string. And then you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. And then now you use a map. What do you use? Map, you use length. So you are trying to get the length of every word in this string. So that's why you got this result. So let me give you this code, okay? And you can try that. This will help you understand how map works. Okay, so let me do X. X is a string here. So it is a string. So now I do a map. Map needs an iterable object. So I'm doing the split, X split. Now I apply length to it. The len function, right? I apply that len function to it. So it will find out all the length of the words. Okay, so let me print out what is y. Oh, okay. Because I got a list, so that's why it does not give me that result in the new Python. So you should get something like this. Okay. You should get something like this. So what is y? Y actually is a list, because X is a list. So that's why you get a Y will be a list. And it is the result of all the items. So if you wanted to see what it is, let me just do this for I in Y. We will learn this in level 2, okay? And if I do that, I just print out I. Okay, you see that's the result. 5, 4, 10, 8, 5. That's the values in this object Y. Okay. So does this make sense to you, Angie and Megan? Map function. Okay. So let's move on then. So we learn the map, max, minimum. And you see we have a lot of functions here, right? Built-in functions. Let me just go there. So I mentioned it already. You use a set to create a set. We learn the range, you get a sequence of numbers, right? And then you use int, okay, int to get an integer. You use str to get a string, and they use dict to get a dictionary, right? Okay, so you can, if you are interested, you can look into every one, but I'm just, pick several and we learn it, right? That's a map. Then zip, what does zip do? I want you to spend 2 minutes to read what zip does. Then I will come to explain it. So can you click on zip? And I think when you read this function here, I think maybe this code is hard for you guys to read it. But when you read it, okay, I hope you get an impression. Then I will give you some example to help us understand it. Okay, so you can come back and you see what does zip do. The zip takes iterables. We already talked about iterables a lot when we do the built-in function, like a map, like a max, like min. They're all uh, related to iterables. So it takes iterables. It's a plural. So what does it mean? Can be 0 or more. Okay, can be 0 or more. Aggregates them in a tuple. So it will create a tuple and return it. Okay, how does it create a tuple? So you see the iterable that has list length determines the length of the returned object. So still, this does not give us a very clear idea what it meant. So let's look at the example. So here is the example. You have a list 1, 2, 3, 4. You have another list 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then you use zip function. So you have the number list, you have the string list, you zip it, you store the zip in this variable. So what do you get? So this is what you get. You get a tuple, okay? And actually this is list of tuples. Okay. So pretty much that means you pull the first item from the first iterable object and pull the first item from the second iterable object, put them together to form a tuple like this one. You zip them, you're zipping them into this tuple. If you have 3 iterables here, then this will be 3 items. So they pick it one by one from each iterable. Okay, then put them together. So this is the first one, this is the first one, pull them out, put it together, then pull the second one, and pull the second one, put them together. So if you have 3 items, okay, you have 3 iterables. Excuse me on that. If you have 3 iterables, then you will have 3 items here, okay? So when I say, let me go to the previous slide. So when we say the iterable that has least length determines the length of the returned object. That means, okay, this returned object, you see it only has 3 items. First one, second one, and the third one. It only has 3 items in it. Why it only has 3? You see in the number list, it has 4 items, right? Why do we only have 3? Because the string list only have 3 items. It does not have the 4th one. So you have nothing to pull from this iterable object. So that's why this will be the result. The least length iterable object determines the result of the returned object. Okay, this is it returned. So let me give you this code, and I want you guys to run it. All right, so let me try to run this one. Okay, you see I have those 3 things. Now I wanted to find out what is the result. It may just give me the object ID. So I still needed to do it. Okay, for I in result, then I will just print. That's what I got. Okay, so I'm not sure, does this make sense to you guys? Megan and Angel. So can you share your screen to me? So I say, when you run it, do you get the result? So Megan, very good. Thank you. And how about you, Angel? Okay. All right. Thanks. So let's move on. So that's zip. We learned the map zip, right? Okay. So let's just to learn a little bit more. I want you guys to learn 2 more things. Okay. Let's go back. So one is this ORD. Okay. What is ORD? So this will give you the Unicode value of a correct ORD. Okay. So what does it mean? So and this is a very advanced topic. So when you do computer programming, you type in a lot of like characters, 4 or ABC, something like that. The computer really doesn't understand it. Okay, the computer only understands off, on, off, on. That's the electricity, right? If it's on or off, it only understands that. So you want to make it meaningful. So that's why we have like a bit fact. Okay. So a bit is just off, on, or in the number is number 1, number 0. Number 0 is off, number 1 is on. So that's what the computer understands. Okay. But if you only have these two values, how can you represent such a complicated world? The bit is not enough. When you say a file size, we say like a 5 megabytes. So what does it mean? It's a 5 million megabytes, 5 million 1010, right? So have that many in it. So 5 million. Okay, so 5 million. So what does it mean? You store in 1 and 0, that's 1 bit. But 1 bit is not enough. You cannot represent the whole world. So then people invent the byte. So we say a word is a byte. So what does it mean? A byte is 8 bits. So you have 1 bit, 2 bits, 3 bits, 4 bits, 5 bits, and 6 bits, 7, 8. So you have 8 bits. Have 8 bits now. You can make sense out of it. If you say 0101, it represents character A. Okay, 0100, it represents character B. So now you put it like a 0101 and 0100 together, it will be AB, right? So when you store that and the character is stored, it has a Unicode value. A new Unicode value will be like a 10101. So how much is it? So that's the value. So you use like a 4 bits, okay, to store it. 4 bits to store it. So of course, I've just make it up. Actually, it should be 8 bits. 8 bits is a byte to store it. So once you use a byte, it can represent all the characters in the world, no matter if it's English, Russian, or like Japanese. So all the characters, it can be represented. So that's why if you want to get the value of a character here, okay, so you will get a Unicode value. It's this. Let's just use ORD character A. Okay, this 97. That's the value actually stored in computer, the Unicode value. So if you have a list of all those characters in the world that the computer needs to represent, so you program it in the computer, and then if you go to the 97th item, that is lowercase a, and then you wanted to do uppercase a, okay? It's smaller than 97. 26 smaller, okay? Or 21 smaller. All right, so that's a Unicode value. So you can use ORD to represent it. So then let's come to learn another one. OCT, what does it mean? Okay, so this is a very, it's another advanced thing where I just mentioned in the computer. So you use bit to store it, that's binary data, right? So if you use octal string, okay, octal value, okay, to store it, so you got that. Okay, you got that. What we are used to is the decimal. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9. So all numbers are decimal in all mand, but it can be octal. Okay, so that means you see this is the number. If you wanted to represent it, that is this one. Okay. Why? Because so if you do octal, the highest number will be 8. Okay. If you needed to do 9, then you need to find out. So you see here is 1, that means it represents 8. Okay. So if it's 7, you say 7 times 8 is 56, right? You see at this position, 1 represents 8. So you can use this one, okay, octal. All right, so let's just stop here for the built-in function. Let's move on to the next topic. Next topic, received words. So when you write your scripts, Python scripts, you should not using any of these words as a variable name. As a variable name, okay? These are received. It has a special meaning. It has a purpose for it in the Python. So that's why. So we see it is the received words. Okay. All right. All right. So the next topic here is typecasting. I think when I ask you to do the homework, I give you like a 6 to 10 digits, a number. I want you to get the sum of all the digits. You have to do a conversion. You need to convert the number to a string, convert the string to a number. That is called a typecasting. Typecasting. Okay. So if you say you have 3 variables, x is an integer, y is a string, z is a numeric string. If you wanted to do x plus y, see what you will got. So let me give you this code. I want you to try it, see what you will get. Okay, x equal to 2, 3, 4, y equal to A, B, C, Z equal to 1, 2, 3. All right, now if you see A equal to X plus Y, you get in the problem, right? Why you get a problem? Because they are of different data types. X is an integer, Y is a string. You cannot do the plus operation between these two. You cannot. So that means, okay, let me do this one. B equal to X plus Z, you see, looks like a X 2, 3, 4, Z is 1, 2, 3. It may work, right? So let me do this one. B equal to X plus Z. It does not work because no matter what, Z itself actually is a string. It's a numerical string, right? It is a numerical string. So that's why it doesn't work. It does not work. So in order to make it work, then you have to do a typecasting. So this is a built-in function string. You convert this number to a string, then you can make it work. So let me see, A equal to str x plus y. Okay, now let's see. You see it works. Now let's see what is A. A is 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, ABC. So you are doing the operation or doing the concatenation between the two strings. And if you wanted to make this work, B, if you wanted to make it work, you need to convert this numerical string to an integer. So that's how it works. So let's do that. B equal to X plus int Z. Excuse me. Okay, so if you do that, you see it works. Now, if you ask the system, what is B? 357. This is an operation. It's a sum, right? The sum of X and Z after you convert Z to an integer. So this is called a type casting. But type casting does not always work. So if you see Y equal to ABC, if you wanted to convert Y to an integer, it will fail because it cannot convert it, right? So if you say int Y, you will get a problem because Y is a string. It's not a numeric string. So that's why you cannot convert it to an integer. So that's why. So you fail. So when you do operation, you always remember all the data you use or the variable you use of the same data type. If not, you need to do the typecasting. You need to convert them to the same data type, then you can do the operation. And then it means you may fail. The typecasting may not work. Okay, let's move on then. All right, so doing the quiz. Can you give me your answer in the chat? Okay, I get one answer. So making what do you think? Is this true or false? Yes, you're right. This is false. Dictionary are mutable. You remember you can assign it a new value, right? When you say immutable, that means the key must be an immutable data type. So that means it has to be a number or a string, okay, or a tuple. That's the key. But dictionary itself is mutable. You can add more items to it, right? You can change the value of a key. So that's why it is mutable. All right, so let's go to the next one. Okay, if you do not know, let's go to the built-in function, see what the DL does. DEL. Okay. DEL. So let's go to take a look at what does Python DEL do. So DEL will delete an object. Okay. So if you see that one, now come back to this one. The right answer actually is C. You wanted to input it, right? So you just to clear everything will be inputted. And this one, it looks like, okay, right? But actually you remember this slice, you start from 0, you need to, if you use 2, that means it will only remove the, the first one, the second one, because you have 3 items in it. If you put a 3 here, then you will input the dictionary. You input it. Here is not the right one. Here is too much. You actually remove the object. The object now is not in the memory. You cannot use it anymore unless you redefine it. Okay, here, so you are deleting the items in the dictionary. So the dictionary itself will stay, but okay, the first two items does not exist. So let me show you. Okay, let me give you this code and I want you guys to try it. That will help you understand it. Do this. Okay. So you try this here. You have a dictionary, right? So now you delete this two. All right, so let me do that here. So it will not input your dictionary, right? And another thing is that dictionary itself, you cannot use index to get the item, right? So dictionary, you have to use a key to get it. So that's why this one will not work for this. Both of them will not work. So the only way to create is this one, right? So let's move on. So what is the output of the following code? Okay, so you are trying to print out if dictionary one equal to dictionary two or not, right? And you see here in dictionary one, you have key one, value is one, key two, value is two. On dictionary two, you have key two, value is two, key one, value is one. We see dictionary, it's not ordered. So the key value is the main content of it. So you have the same amount of items in it, and then you have the same keys, same values. So they will be true. The answer will be true. So let me give you this code. I want you guys to try it. You see, this is true. Print out, it is true. The dictionary, you really do not get the order of it. It's unordered. We see after Python 3.7, it is ordered. But when you compare, it's compare the content here, okay? So the order really does not make a difference. You are not going to use the index value to get the items. So that's why they are the same. They are equal, okay? They are equal. All right, so let's move on to the next one. If you do not know what does pop mean, you go to the dictionary and find out what does this method do. So let me go there. Okay. Python dictionary. Okay. So what does it mean? Okay. So then now let's come back to the quiz. So what will be the result? Yes, Angel, you're right. So it will be key error. You are trying to pop this item, you're trying to remove it, and you use this key, but this key does not exist in the dictionary. So that's why you will get a key error. Correct. Okay. All right. So this one. Select the correct way to print Emma's age. Which one is the correct one? You see, this is a nested dictionary. Nested. Jack, which one is the right answer? Okay. So Megan, do you know? You're right, Megan. So you see, actually, what we need is to find the age of M, right? So then we need to look at it. Where is Emma? So Emma is in this dictionary. So how can you get this dictionary? You use student one to get it. Okay, student one, you will get this value. Its value is a dictionary. Then now you have this dictionary, and now you want to get the age, right? So you just use the key age, and you get a Emma is 27. So B is the right answer. Very good. I think you know, this is the last class for our Python level 1. We're supposed to finish 8 slides. We finished 6. And from the next one on, I think, let me just go there. We are going to learn blocks of code. So that's a more important skill, okay? So we're going to do the block encoding. So code blocks. So let's say, how do you do loop? How do you do conditions, right? So I think the first thing will be condition. But before we can do that, I ask you guys to install PyCharm. So if you guys wanted to continue, then we really need to have an IDE. So you see here, with Recruiter here, it's really not convenient. This is an interface for you to just get a feel of Python, or you just try to run some scripts. It's not for you to do a development work. If you wanted to do development work, you really wanted to have a PyCharm, right? So let me just show you. So we have students, and now they are doing Python 5. Let me just to get more of the class to show you. So you need a tool to write a lot of Python scripts. So for me, in our class, I really do not care what you use, but I'm using PyCharm. So if you can use PyCharm, that will be great. So you see, this is the one I taught them. I think it's just this one, Butterfly. We're using Python. You see, these are all Python code. Okay, Python code is very simple, and when you get to the level, you see we have blocks of code. So I'm using PyCharm, so you can write code this way, then you run it. So if you run this, so you can play music and do graphics. So you need a development tool. So we call it IDE. Okay. So an IDE, so Python IDE, I suggest you guys to use a PyCharm. So how to get a PyCharm if you guys wanted to continue this class? So we will download a PyCharm. Okay. I really want you guys to do that if you wanted to continue Python class. So let's just go there. Let me give you this link, okay? You okay, this is a PyCharm for you to download it. And when you get to this page, you need to be careful to download the community version only, okay? So you say, click on download it. I think this do not get the professional version. You just need to the community version. Let's see, download it. Oh, it does not give you that choice anymore. You do not want the professional version. Let me just go there. Click this download. Let me see. Okay, this one, give you this link, okay? Let's use this link. You do not download the professional one. Professional one will ask you to pay. You download the community version and then install it. Right. Down to this one, community version. So what I'm using is a community version of PyCharm. So you can write code and you can run it. You can develop good applications. Okay, that's all I have. As I mentioned, this is the last class, and we only finished six slides, slides deck, and we have two. We totally for level 1 and level 2, we have 16 slides deck to go. So we have 10 left for Python basics. Let me stop recording, and I want to return the class back to Ms. He.